Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are tuning in. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm back on Facebook Live and on Instagram today. I've managed to get the Instagram connection up and running, which is a good sign. That's always hit or miss here from Chiang Mai in Thailand, at least with the technology that I have. Anyway. So thank you for being here, and if you are watching this back on video, thank you for enjoying the video. I appreciate your energy, your time, your curiosity into this very delicate and really profound practice of loving kindness. And so I have a few announcements I'd like to make, and then I'll do just a little bit of a guided meditation, just kind of set the stage, and then I'll begin the offering on loving kindness. And that's kind of the format of the roughly 50 minutes that we have together here. So the first announcement is that I am opening a Loving Kindness online meditation retreat. And so this is kind of the inspiration for the next 4 weeks of Facebook Live, where I'll be doing a talk for the next 4 weeks every Tuesday morning in Thailand. On the topics of loving kindness. So, online meditation retreat, this is entitled Loving Kindness, Widening the Circle of Care. And so just to briefly outline the program then, there are 2 sections to the program to accommodate different time zones throughout the world. Section 1 will meet twice a week on Sunday and Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. East Coast time. Section 2 will meet twice a week on Sunday and Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. UK time. So really trying to target Europe there and people who like to sleep in Asia, or late nights for Australia and New Zealand. So as I mentioned, the retreat opens on Wednesday, December 1st. And it closes on Sunday, January 24th. The sessions will include guided meditations, lecturing by myself, Q&A sessions, private one-to-one meditation sessions throughout the entire 8-week course, and interactive discussions with myself and the rest of the participants in the community in the retreat. And the entire package, the 8-week package, is priced at $99, so I try to keep that pretty reasonable. There are scholarships and financial aid available, so if you find the price restrictive, please do reach out and send me a message and let me know. If you would like to do the course at your own time and your own pace, many people do, and that's fine. All of the sessions are recorded and made available. Within a few hours after the session finishes, the recordings are usually made available. One other announcement, and this will just be a brief announcement on this, just touching on this. I'm also opening a retreat, a second retreat, entitled the Awakening Living Retreat. And here we're diving into some of the early teachings of the Buddha, but in a very secular fashion. So I'll be offering Facebook Live talks about that retreat on Thursdays for the whole month of November. So if you're interested in that course, you might want to tune into that. We're really working with the Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths and how to put those into practice so they can help us live a life free from reactive patterns. So I won't speak too much about that now. I'll address that more on Thursday at this same time. I guess it'll be Wednesday night for many of us. So Thursday morning for here in Thailand. Okay. So I'll ring the bell and I'll guide us into just a brief meditation as a way of kind of arriving. And so I'll just guide us into the present moment using various anchor points of the present moment. We might start with sound. Sounds are always present moment experiences. Then the body, the breath. And I'll talk a bit at the end about loving kindness. In fact, I think I'll finish the guided meditation with a reading of what's known as the Metta Sutta, which is the Buddha's teaching on loving kindness. So enjoy this guided meditation. And so the invitation here is just to arrive into this present moment. There are many ways of arriving into the experience of the here and now. And I think today we can start with just noticing how the body feels. In whatever posture you're taking right now, this present moment, whether you're seated in a chair or on a cushion, on the floor, you could be standing up or lying down. Regardless of the posture you're in, just noticing, what does the body feel like right now? You might offer the phrase, "There is a body." And we could continue in this trajectory, if you will, this contact of the present moment through the body by noticing perhaps the feet against the ground or the floor. You might also notice the weight of the body against the cushion or chair or mat. And perhaps here extending a thought or two of gratitude for the support that's being offered from the floor, from the chair. Recognizing that the floor and the chair are really just substitutes for planet Earth, that regardless of your housing situation, beneath the carpet, the floorboards, the cement, or if you're on a boat, through the hull of the boat, there's the water. Underneath the water, there's the planet Earth herself. So recognizing and paying homage to this beautiful life support giving planet, for the support, for the care, for the nourishment. And we could continue arriving into this present moment by noticing sensations of clothing against the back. We often carry tension or stress in the back, so while we're noticing the back, it might be nice to invite any tension or stress there to soften and relax. You might notice sensations arising from the hands, the arms, inviting the hands and arms to grow soft, rest. And perhaps noticing sensations arising from the face, letting any tension or stress that's held in the face soften and rest. You might notice sensations arising from the crown of the head, the very top of the head. And so taking another moment or two to just feel into the felt experience, the somatic experience of the present moment, whatever's available. There may be areas of the body that have very little or no feeling, and that's fine. That's also an experience. And so just notice that. We could continue arriving by taking a nice, nourishing breath here. If you're feeling sleepy or tired, you might wish to emphasize the in-breath, which can energize the body, the mind, the heart. Or if you're feeling charged, there's a lot of thinking, a lot of energy in the body, you might wish to take a nice, slow exhalation, which can really bring a sense of calm and stillness to the heart, to the mind, to the body. And so while we're here resting with the breath, the sensations of the body, we could also continue arriving by listening to the present moment. And just noticing any sounds which might be available. There may be quiet sounds or loud sounds. There may be sounds generated by nature or electronics, appliances, machinery. And so the invitation here is really just to listen to the present moment as if we were listening to a symphony or orchestra. And while we rest here with this experience of sound and silence, body and breath, the invitation is now just to recall briefly a moment in time where you were feeling generous. This could have been a type of generosity where you were openly giving time to someone, openly sharing a moment of happiness with a friend. Perhaps you took time out of your day to help somebody who really needed help. Or perhaps needed just an ear to talk to. Or this could be an act of generosity towards yourself, like taking time out of your day to meditate, or to attend a talk on loving kindness. And so just feeling into the heart what it feels like to be generous. It might be kind of a softening or a warmth. You might just wish to smile upon recalling this move of generosity. Perhaps you gave that extra Reese's peanut butter cup to that trick-or-treater. Or just complimented a costume or offered a smile. All acts of generosity. So in the next moment or two, we'll move away from this meditation practice and back into a conversational space. I'll cue that by ringing the bell 3 times. So thank you for joining me in that brief guided meditation, arriving, resting, and then just tapping into the quality of generosity in the heart. Now, the reason why I offered a little generosity practice there is that there's a tradition of that the Buddha and other teachers as well, when they were giving a talk, they would sometimes offer an introductory talk or a meditation on generosity, because the quality of generosity actually enlivens the heart. And it gets the brain moving in such a way that it's open and receptive for learning. There's all kinds of neuroscience showing this now, that when we practice generosity and when we receive generosity from another, the reward centers light up in the brain, whether we're giving or receiving. And in that lighting up of the reward center of the brain, that we then engage in material that we're learning, it feels like a reward. So it sticks in that way. So if nothing else, if you're studying, you might want to use that. Use that as a way of increasing your capacity for learning material. Okay, all of that being said, here is the Metta Sutta. This is, I believe it was the first discourse that the Buddha offered on loving kindness. And before I start, I just want to mention here that I'm offering these programs, mindfulness, loving kindness, so forth, and these talks. And I will refer to the Buddha from time to time, because that's where most of my training comes from. That's really my comfort zone, right? But you don't have to be a Buddhist to practice these practices. And I try to offer the programs and my teachings in a very secular fashion, not trying to convert anyone or convince anyone of any particular belief system. But I have found these practices to be very profound and life-changing. And they can be practiced by anyone, of any faith or of no faith, agnosticism, atheism, doesn't matter. The practices are given in such a way that they can be accessed by anyone. Okay. Here's the Metta Sutta from the Buddha. This is what should be done by those who are skilled in goodness and who know the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing, in gladness and in safety may all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they be weak or strong, omitting none. The great or the mighty, the medium, the short or the small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading through the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. Don't be falling asleep now. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desire, is freed from repetitive existence. That's a lot. I don't know how that landed for you all there, and because of this medium, there's not a lot of interaction, but I've read this thousands of times. I've meditated on it for quite some time. Every time I read it, it lands. There's hairs on the back of my neck that stand up, and I get a little choked up. So I just want to point out here how thorough the Buddha is, right? May all beings be at ease, living beings, whether they be weak or strong, omitting none, the great, the mighty, the medium, the short or the small, the seen, the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. And so, need some water. It's fine to read inspiring works of art or literature, as the case may be. And it's fine to talk about how we want to live in a more loving, more kind world. But how does one put that into practice, right? How do we practice cultivating a world with more love in it or more kindness? It's a great aspiration to have, but how does one actually go about manifesting that? And the Buddha gave us some hints in the Metta Sutta, and he gives other teachings elsewhere that I'll probably be bringing up in the next month as these talks unfold. But I just want to point out here this last paragraph, and I did kind of emphasize it when I was reading. And I think this is really, really important and amazing how contemporary this teaching is. The Buddha says here at the last paragraph, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one having clarity of vision, by not holding to fixed views. Right? I think we can just think about the world today and think about how much holding there is to fixed views. And how in that holding we can just see how difficult it is. Right? When we really are holding to our idea of the way things ought to be, or our idea of the way things are. When we're really clinging to that as an absolute truth, it becomes very, very challenging to offer kindness to people who have different views, who might be clinging to their views just as tenaciously as we cling to ours. And so it becomes a war of the views. Right? we see our fellow brothers and sisters, the other human beings that we inhabit this planet with. We identify them as believing a certain set of views rather than a human being. And we often see ourselves that way, right? We identify by ourselves by, being a certain belief, religion, political ideology, gender identification, race, creed, economic background. Whatever it is that we hold on to when we encounter a view, a belief, an identification that goes against the grain of what we're holding on to, it becomes very, very challenging to offer those people kindness. And so we're setting the bar quite high here. I recognize that. And so I just want to mention something about the actual formal practices. There are meditations designed to help us open our heart to people who might be embodying different views than we carry and we hold. There are also practices designed to help us kind of loosen our own hold on our fixed views, so we can work at it in both sides, both angles in that way, or two different angles. And there are practices, primarily practices of loving kindness itself. The practices that I'll be offering on the 8-week course starting in December, where we'll really take a deep dive into opening and softening our heart around our own fixed views, around the fixed views of others and the entire world. So just to recognize that these practices are intention-led, that we come to a practice of practice of meditation on loving kindness, which I think I'll be able to walk us through at least towards the end of today's talk. And you might not feel anything. You might just do this meditation practice and it doesn't feel like loving kindness to you at all. There's no warmth, there's no openness, there's no feelings of kindness. It kind of just feels like, there's a door over the heart or something like that. That's normal. In fact, that's a very common experience for most meditators. But after a week or two, or a month or two, or a year or two, doesn't matter how long, but eventually the seeds that we're planting in our heart start to bear fruit. And it's just by cultivating the intention of loving kindness. So each time we might come to a practice to meditate on loving kindness, we're kind of planting the seeds of loving kindness in the heart. And then with each consecutive practice, we put that sunlight on those seeds, or we put the rain, we are tilling the soil. And eventually, that sapling, that seedling in the heart starts to grow towards the sunlight of loving kindness. And so I mention that because oftentimes, so many times I've heard this, where people will say, Chris, yeah, I heard your talk on loving kindness, I went to your podcast, I did some of the practices, but nothing really happened. It didn't really work for me. And so there, in that situation, most often it's simply because there hasn't been the patience to allow those seeds to bear fruit. So on that to piggyback on that a bit, I'll tell a story from one of my students, actually. So I was working with this person for a couple of months. A couple of months on loving kindness. This person had been studying with me for, I guess, about a year, maybe a little more than a year at this time. And we moved into the practices on loving kindness. And it was that experience for this person. They were doing the loving kindness meditations very diligently every day for at least a half an hour, maybe longer. But nothing was happening. And this person we'd meet once a week, and we'd connect over Zoom, and we'd have our conversation. Nothing happening. I'd say, okay, just do the practice, and I'd offer some guidance, and still nothing. Like going to an empty well. And then out of the blue, I get an email from this person. Says, I was just at the grocery store, and I was waiting to pay the cashier, and all of a sudden I felt this abundance of love, an abundance of kindness for everyone in the store. And she said she started weeping and sobbing, because all of a sudden the boundaries just came down, and each person who we generally think of the people around us as just kind of neutral experiences. We'll probably get to that a little later. But with a practice of loving kindness, we actually connect with the hearts of the people around us. They cease becoming an object, and they inhabit the humanness. The humanity is returned. And so we can experience this. Sometimes it can be quite emotional. We recognize that the person who's cashing out our groceries has a story. That this person has lived a life with 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. That this person, has, a life filled with happiness and laughter and tears and struggle, just like we do. And it's not just the cashier, but with practice, with time, we open up to experience that with all of the people we encounter. And so life takes on this very rich tone, this very rich flavor where we can connect in a much deeper way to ourselves and to the world around us. So the practice really starts with this idea that all beings want to be happy. And so then I often get the question, well, how do you define happiness? Right. And so the way I'm defining happiness here, and the way I think this is thought of in the traditions that I've studied in, we could define happiness as a type of contentment or peace, safety, connection, autonomy, creativity. When all of these kind of needs are being met and all of these values are being honored, there's this real sense of happiness. So it's not this happiness that's, fleeting, like the happiness I get when I, dive into my favorite pad thai, or, a happiness that I might receive from, listening to a really beautiful piece of music. There's nothing wrong with those happinesses, and a lot of joy can be relished from those experiences. But the happiness that's being referred to here is a deeper sense of happiness, an internal sense of happiness, something that comes from our own heart. And so I mentioned that I would outline a practice, and so I think I'll move into that now and just kind of talk us through the meditation. If there's time, I'll guide a brief meditation on this. So one of the practices that I tend to gravitate to in my own practice, and one that I often teach when teaching loving kindness, is we come into the present moment very similar to how I opened today's talk, with the experience of breath, body, and sound. And then we just rest there for some time, allowing things to settle. And then we offer phrases of loving kindness to our own heart. And with each phrase, we're invited to visualize or imagine what our life would look and feel like if each phrase was completely, utterly reflective of our life circumstance. And so I'll just walk us through the phrases, and then we'll talk about what might or might not happen when we do this type of practice. So the phrases that I encourage people to offer to the heart and that I offer to my own heart when I do this practice. The first one is, may I be happy. And if you wish, just follow along. As I'm talking through the phrases, I invite you to offer the phrase to your heart. And really visualize, if you can, or just imagine right now you're completely 100% happy. What would that look like? What would that feel like? And so the next phrase then, may I be safe and healthy. May I live a life of peace without struggle. Just offering yourself that as if you were offering yourself the most precious gift. May I live a life of peace without struggle. What does that look like? What does that feel like? May I open to things just as they are. What would it look like? What would your life look like if we could really open to things just as they are? May I experience the world opening to me just as I am. And so again, what does this look like? Experiencing the whole world opening to us just as we are. May I welcome whatever arises. And again, just feeling that. What would our life look and feel like if we could welcome whatever arises as if we created it, as if we invited that in? May I welcome whatever arises. And so I didn't really intend for that to be a guided meditation, but it kind of moved in that way. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm enjoying it. So a couple of common experiences when one really engages in these phrases in a meditation is there can be a resistance. It can be like a complete wall of resistance, like sitting against a gray wall. I had that experience in my practice. we offer this phrase, may I be happy, with the instruction of really visualizing our life 100% completely happy. Well, very commonly, that resistance just shoots up, boom. That'll never happen for me. That's crazy. How can anyone ever be 100% happy all of the time? This is nonsense. Maybe if I went to India and sat on top of a mountain for 10 hours a day, watching my breath and feeling my body, I could be happy. But never in this life, and so forth. These are the common resistances that come up. And that's fine. There's actually great benefit in the resistance itself. So when the resistance comes up in the practice, the idea is to hold the resistance in awareness. Get to know the resistance. As one of my teachers likes to say, become intimate with your resistances. Because our resistances have a particular feel to them, a particular flavor, a particular feeling, a somatic experience in the body sometimes. And so often then, after a practice like this, when you're about your day, maybe you go into your favorite coffee place to go get a cup of coffee and somebody opens the door for you, a stranger. And you don't even think anything of it, right? You're just kind of moving because maybe you're late for something, or maybe you just shrug it off as the person was being polite. And so the resistance is there, but we don't notice it because this is just the way things are. So here we're taking that unconscious resistance and making it conscious. And in that move, we can then choose to experience the loving kindness that is always there. But we're just conditioned in such a way to not notice it. So when the resistance comes up in the practice, may I be happy? I can't be happy, this is silly, I don't want to meditate like this, or whatever it is. Hold that resistance. I like the image of the resistance being like a fist, a closed fist. That's how it often feels for me. And then holding the resistance with the open hand of compassion. And then when you notice the resistance there, you might even move out of the meditation. You say, thank you for being here, resistance. You offer the resistance a bow. Thank you for being here. It's really great that you're here. All of our resistances were created at some point in our life to keep us safe. And so in that, there's actually wisdom in our resistances. So you might hold the resistance with that compassion and say, thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping me safe. I don't really need your help right now, but it's really great that you're here. And then just hold it and continue offering the phrases to your heart. The resistance can be there. There may be very little. You might just be going through the phrases mechanically. That's okay. Because eventually we start to see that loving kindness just feels better than the resistance. And so drop by drop we fill the bucket. Each time we practice, we start to say, oh yeah, there's that loving kindness warmth that feels so good, but I really want to hang on to this resistance because for whatever reason. That's okay, that's fine. These practices, I consider them lifetime practices. So eventually, days, weeks, months, years, eventually those resistances just fade, they dissolve. Because we just start to experience more loving kindness in our life, in our world, the way we relate to others. That feels good, so we do more practice, we have less resistance, And it just creates this upward spiral. Like that. So I'm not going to do a guided meditation today. I might do one next time we meet, next Tuesday. But I will put a link to a guided meditation from my podcast page in the comments section below this Facebook offering or Instagram offering. So if you're interested in pursuing a guided meditation on loving kindness, please do. They're about, I think I have some that are 15 or 20 minutes long. And that's about standard, you know. Some teachers like to say half an hour. Actually, when I took these teachings up first with my teacher back in 2004, we were doing it for an hour meditation each day. It's really, you know, depends on where you are with your practice. If you're just starting meditation, an hour would be a bit long. So the way I've timed most of my guided meditations, they're really targeted for people who are just kind of, you know, comfortable with the 20-minute range. But if you'd like to do longer, there's always pause on the whatever machine you're using to play your podcast. There, you can usually pause there and stay in any stage of the practice as long as you wish. So I think that's all I've got to say today. That was kind of rich. There was a lot offered there, I think, so you might just want to sit with that for a minute. Thank you all for being here. If you found this inspiring, please do check out some of the other offerings that I have on my website, suchsweetthunder.org, also on Instagram or YouTube, also lots of meditations here on my Facebook page as well. I will be back this same time on Thursday offering a talk on the topic of awakened living, which is the other retreat that I'm launching in December. And so both Tuesday and Thursday Facebook Lives are kind of gearing up, starting the engines, so to speak, on the retreats that are launching in the 1st of December. So wherever you are tuning in, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great morning or afternoon or evening. Have a great night. And I'll see you here or there in the virtual world. Thank you. Thank you. I'll ring the bell to close. Thank you so much.